The CB750 is an air-cooled, transverse, inline, four-cylinder engine motorcycle manufactured by Honda over several generations for year models 1969 to 2003 as well as 2007 with an upright or standard riding posture in the format of a Universal Japanese Motorcycle or UJM. Though other manufacturers had marketed the transverse, overhead camshaft, inline four-cylinder engine configuration and the layout had been used in racing engines prior to World War II, Honda popularized the configuration with the CB750, and the layout subsequently became the dominant sport bike engine layout. The CB750 is included in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame Classic Bikes. Was named in the Discovery Channel's Greatest Motor Bikes Ever. Was in the Art of the Motorcycle exhibition, and is in the UK National Motor Museum. The Society of Automotive Engineers of Japan, Incorporated rates the 1969 CB750 as one of the 240 landmarks of Japanese automotive technology. The CB750 was the first motorcycle to be called a superbike. History: Honda of Japan introduced the CB750 motorcycle to the US and European markets in 1969 after experiencing success with its smaller motorcycles. In the late 1960s Honda motorcycles were, overall, the world's biggest sellers. There were the C100 Club Step-Through, the biggest selling motorcycle of all time, the C71, C72, C77 and CA77/8 Dreams. And the CB72/77 Super Hawk Sports. A taste of what was ahead came with the introduction of the revolutionary CB450 DOHC twin-cylinder machine in 1966. Profits from these production bikes financed the successful racing machines of the 1960s, and lessons learned from racing were applied to the CB750. The CB750 was targeted directly at the U.S. market after Honda officials, including founder Soichiro Honda, repeatedly met with U.S. dealers and understood the opportunity for a larger bike. In 1967 American Honda service manager Bob Hansen flew to Japan and discussed with Soichiro Honda the possibility of using Grand Prix technology in bikes prepared for American motorcycle events. American racing's governing body, the AMA, had rules that allowed racing by production machines only. Honda knew that what won on the racetrack today, sold in the showrooms tomorrow, and a large engine capacity road machine would have to be built to compete with the Harley-Davidson and Triumph twin-cylinder machines. Hansen told Mr. Honda that he should build a king of motorcycles, and at the Tokyo Show of October 1968 and the Brighton Show of April 1969 the CB750 was launched. Hansen's race team's historical victory at the 1970 Daytona 200 with Dick Mann riding a tall-geared CB750 to victory saw Honda's cease all motorcycle road racing activities and the beginning of the era of the superbike. Under development for a year, the CB750 offered two unprecedented features, a transverse straight-four engine with a single overhead camshaft and a front disc brake, neither of which was previously available on a mainstream, affordable production motorcycle. These two features, along with the introductory price of $1,495, gave the CB750 a considerable advantage over its competition, particularly its British rivals. Cycle magazine called the CB750 the most sophisticated production bike ever on the bike's introduction. Cycle World called it a masterpiece, highlighting Honda's painstaking durability testing, the bike's 120 mph top speed, the fade-free performance of the braking, the comfortable ride and excellent instrumentation. The CB750 was the first modern four-cylinder machine from a mainstream manufacturer, and the term superbike was coined to describe it. The bike offered other important features that added to its value: electric starter, kill switch, dual mirrors, flashing turn signals, easily maintained valves and overall smoothness and freedom from vibration both underway and at a standstill. Later models included maintenance-free hydraulic valves. Unable to accurately gauge demand for the new bike, Honda limited its initial investment in the production dies for the CB750 by using a technique called permanent mold casting rather than die casting for the engines, unsure of the bike's reception. The bike remained in the Honda lineup for 10 years, with a production total over 400,000. Models: note, all CB750 engines are air oil cooled, as opposed to liquid cooled, SOHC, 1969 CB750, CB750K or CB750KO, 1970 CB750K1, 1971 CB750K2, 1973 CB750K3, 1974 CB750K4, 1975 CB750K5, CB750FO, CB750A. The 1975 CB750F had a more streamlined look, thanks in part to a 4x1 exhaust and cafe-style seat with fiberglass rear. Other changes included the use of a rear disc brake and a lighter crankshaft and flywheel. 1976 CB750K6, CB750F1, CB750A, 1977 CB750K7, CB750F2, CB750A1, 1978 CB750K8, CB750F3, CB750A2, production, CB750K0 53400, CB750K1 77000, CB750K2 63500, CB750K3 38000, CB750K4 60000, CB750 K5 35000, CB750K6 42000, CB750K7 38000, CB750K8 39000, CB750F 15000, CB750F1 44000, CB750F2 25000, CB750F3 18400, CB750A 4100, CB750A1 2300, CB750A2 1700, DOHC, 1979 Euro 1982 CB750K. 1979 CB750K 10th Anniversary Edition, 1979 Euro 1982 CB750F, 1980 Euro 1982 CB750C Custom, 1982 Euro 1983 CB750 SC Nighthawk, 1984 to 1985 CB750 SC Nighthawk S in Canada, 1984 to 1985 CB700 SC Nighthawk S in US, 1984 Euro 1986 CB750 SC Nighthawk, 1992 to 1997 CB750 F2, 1991 Euro 2003 CB750 Nighthawk, 2007 CB750, CB750A Honda-matic. In 1976, Honda introduced the CB750A to the United States, with the A suffix designating automatic, for its automatic transmission. Although the two-speed transmission includes a torque converter typical of an automatic transmission, the transmission does not automatically change gears for the rider. Each gear is selected by a foot-controlled hydraulic valve selector. The foot selector controls the application of high-pressure oil to a single clutch pack, causing the selected clutch to engage. The selected gear remains selected until changed by the rider, or the kickstand is lowered. The CB750A was sold in the North American market only. The name Honda-matic was shared with Honda cars of the 1970s, but the motorcycle transmission was not fully automatic. The design of the transmission is similar in concept to the transmission in Honda's N360 AT, a Kei car sold in Japan from 1967 to 1972. The CB750A uses the same engine as the CB750, but detuned with lower 7.71 compression and smaller carburetors producing a lower output, 47.0 HP. The same oil is used for the engine and transmission, and the engine was changed to a wet sump instead of dry sump type. A lockout safety device prevents the transmission from moving out of neutral if the side stand is down. There is no tachometer, but the instruments include a fuel gauge and gear indicator. For 1977 the gearing was revised, and the exhaust changed to a 4x2 with a silencer on either side. Due to slow sales the model was discontinued in 1978, though Honda did later introduce smaller Honda-matic motorcycles. Nighthawk 750. From 1982 through 2003, With the exception of several years, Honda produced a CB750 known as the Nighthawk 750. Early models were designated the CB750 SC Nighthawk while later models were simply known as the Nighthawk 750. The Nighthawk 750 SC features a 4-stroke engine with a 5-speed manual transmission, shaft drive and has front disc and rear drum brakes. 2007 CB750. In 2007, Honda Japan announced the sale of a new CB750 very similar to the models sold in the 1970s. Announced as the CB750 Special Edition, which is in the silver colors of the CB50 AMA Racer of the 1970s, and the CB750, offered in 3 color schemes reminiscent of CB750s previously sold. As of August 2007, these bikes were intended only for release in Japan. Specifications, references. External links: The Dream CB754.